even though I've lost my sight, it seems to have bothered more people around me than it did me. And what I mean by that is, I'll use an example. One day I was out with some of the guys that I work with. We were at Tim Hortons, standing in a lineup, and this girl in front of us turned around and looked at me. I didn't know her at the time, obviously, because I couldn't see her. But she said, "Lawrence?" "Yeah." "Holy shit, what happened?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, what happened to you?" I said, "Nothing." "Well, are you blind?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I guess so." I said, "Who am I talking to?" And she said her name, and I didn't catch it. It was pretty noisy in there. And so I asked again, and she told me. I won't mention her name because I don't want to embarrass anyone. But she looked at me, and I said, "Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, how you doing?" And she said, "Oh, my God," she said, "I can't handle this. I got to go." And she walked away from me. So I looked at my buddy, and I said, "Geez, I hope this blind thing isn't catching. I'd be pissing a lot of people off." So that was my first experience with someone else being bothered by me going blind. After that, you run into people through that process that you don't see on a regular basis, and they discover that you've lost your sight. And there were a few times when I run into people and they said, "Holy shit, I can't believe you're blind." And I said, "Yeah, neither can I." And they get a little giggle, not too much. I'm sure most of them are stone-faced. But there were a few that said to me, "Of all the people I know, leave it to you to be the one that'd be positive and upbeat about going blind." And it's not that I'm positive and upbeat about going blind. It's just I've accepted the fact that this is who I am now. If any of you's read the bio, you see a tagline I used in there, "If you could see what I hear." And that line was written by a guy by the name of Tom Sullivan. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him. He's an actor, musician, entertainer from quite a few years back. And I was inspired by him back then when I could see because of the way he lived his life. He was on Oprah one day telling his story. And his story began with a scene he talked about and had made a movie about, where a child had fallen into a swimming pool that he was looking after. And he had to jump in the pool to try and find this child. And upon doing that, I guess, is how he found the courage to live stronger by being blind. But also in learning that, I've discovered that our host, Mr. Tim Brody, told me that he worked on that movie. So that was an interesting tidbit. I don't know what his role was, but if any of you are interested, you can talk to him about it. But to continue on with what I've discovered about being blind is, yeah, sometimes you have to rely on others to help, as I did a moment ago with Mike guiding me up here on the stage. I didn't want to make a complete ass of myself, so I took his help. Living alone, which is what I do. I'm by myself now. Obviously, my marriage didn't work out. My then wife decided she wanted to find someone else. So in 2008, I moved back to Halifax, and I've been living on my own since. I do pretty good. My cooking isn't the best. It's probably a little on the bland side, but I haven't burnt the house down, so good there. I still do my own laundry. I managed to keep colors away from darks, so far so good. No one's told me I got pink shirts or red underwear or something along that line. And as well, I used to travel a lot from Truro to Halifax on bus. And in doing so, of course, you need a hand getting from the bus station to the bus and vice versa on the other end. But I've had people guiding me, bus drivers in particular. Twice I've been forgotten. So I've missed my bus. A couple of times when they're taking me from the bus into the terminal out front to catch a cab, I've been run over children because they're watching or paying attention more to what they're doing instead of me being out on the wing. I've been walked into door frames, door jams, over suitcases. And it's funny. You have to laugh. Because it's hilarious. And sometimes I'm there like, okay, let's go. I've had friends do the same thing. I've been walked into low-hanging tree branches. Because, again, people pay more attention to what they're doing. But I guess the biggest thing I've discovered is that as a blind person, I realize now that we live in a very visual society. And what I mean by that is, and I'm sure you all understand it, we take that for granted. I was one of them, no question. You look around a room, you see a smiling face, you see what someone's wearing. You're not really paying attention to conversations being had. Your attraction to someone is visual because you get caught by that smile or that look or however you want to adjust to it. But now, being visually impaired, or in my case, blind, I have to pay more attention to what's being said, what I'm smelling, what I'm listening to. Like right now, I hope I haven't lost you. It's pretty quiet in here. Through the process of losing my sight, like I said, I can't explain why this has never been an issue for me. And to this day, it's not an issue for me. And if I can help one person in this room tonight realize that something bad happening, well, if you want to call it bad, I don't, but there are people out there that would not deal well with losing something, be it their eyesight or a limb or ending up in a wheelchair or anything along that line. People just don't deal well with disabilities. So if I can inspire one person to realize that it's not the end of the world, it's just the beginning of a new path, hopefully I've done a good job. But as I said, I do have to rely on others. Sitting at my table, I have some friends that are here tonight that came to hear me and support me. Those are friends I count on that do a lot for me in the way of taking me places I need to go, getting me where I have to get to. My son is here tonight, whom to me has been an inspiration in the fact that as a young man, he decided that he wanted to see some of the world. So he took off, not literally took off and left me behind, but took off to experience life, to experience some of the world, to see some of the world. And through that, I've never been prouder of what he's done and the man he's become today. Forgive me, I get a little emotional.
You go, Lord.
I get a little emotional about my son. He means the world to me. Along with my friends that are here supporting me. I'm sure at some point I'll get better at speaking. Hopefully I'll be able to do it again and tell more of my story, but I'm going to end here with, please remember, people with disabilities just want to be counted in. Don't ignore, don't disregard, and don't be afraid to ask if they need a hand. Thank you for listening.